Spain are champions of Europe once again after coming out on top against a tricky England side who really didn't click into gear until the back end of the tournament. Of course, what about the rest of the countries? Who were great? Who were shit? In this video, we're going to take a little look. That's right, folks, back once again with another video. Today, we're going to rank each and every one of the countries that performed at Euro 2024 from A to F. Who was amazing? Who was absolutely effing atrocious? We'll get into all that in a second. So if you know where you've been, smash your subscribe on your one-stop shop for Euro 2024, World Football, Blackburn Rovers. We got it all here under one rooski. We have our winners, and of course, we have our finalists, of course. But which of the nations came out on top performance-wise? Of course, some nations battled well above expectations. Some disappointed from the get-go. Who were they? We're going to get into it in a second. Of course, big shout out to the VIPs. They are the patrons. You know who you are. And again, if you're new, smash your subscribe. Your one-stop shop is here under one rooski. Also, big shout out to the VIP. They are the patrons. You know who you are. But anyway, let's jump into the vortex and talk about it right here, right now. We have got our, of course, tier list. We're going to now take a little look at each and every one of the nations from, of course, the group stages all the way through to the back end of this one. So let's get it. We are going to do it from group by group, starting with Group A and then work our way to, of course, the Group F. So let's start with Group A, and let's start with bottom of the pile, Scotland, of course. You know, I came into this, a lot of people's expectations were for Scotland to finish bottom of their group, and they did. I had a different expectation. I thought they might be sneak into that third place category and get into the knockout stages for the first time, but they didn't. But ultimately, the vibe for everybody was probably fourth. So I'm going to put them in D. You know, the lack of goals is going to be was a problem. Of course, they didn't have Lyndon Dykes. Would he have changed anything? I don't know. But yeah, just not great from Scotland in the end. Meanwhile, Hungary, so close as well. They failed against Germany. They failed against. They got something against. No, they failed against the Swiss. They did beat Scotland though, which kind of gave them a bit of hope. A lot of people tipping these guys to be dark horses. I think they also not going to be happy with their performance in the end. I think they're, you know, had a much more expectation than third. Probably wanted that second spot. So I'm going to put them alongside Scotland in D. And then we have the Swiss, who were everyone's tipped to be dark horses, or at least in my eyes, going to be a candidate to travel. And I actually fancied them. When I looked at the bracket, I thought, you know, if they could get past Italy, I think they could probably go to the semi-finals or maybe even challenge for a spot in the final. But that wasn't to be the case with a penalty shootout loss to England. But to be honest with you, I think they performed above expectations, definitely so. And I just going to put them in some more food for thought in future tournaments, especially the upcoming World Cup. I think Swiss will carry a bit of more of a fear factor moving forward. As for the Germans, of course, my boys there, I was hoping that they would win the whole thing, and they just were in the wrong path. And I think if they were on the other side of the bracket, definitely they could have made a final one, maybe. They were a little bit hard done by as well against Spain with a couple of calls that went against them. I'm also going to put that as a B performance. I think they were the second best team in this tournament by a distance. I think Spain was the best team in this tournament. You know, and I think there's a lot of goodness to come from it from Germany. Definitely better than the performances in Qatar and the previous Euros. So I think we're going in the right direction. And I just, you know, it's just a little bit of a bitter pill to swallow, considering we hosted the tournament. So let's hop on over to Group B. And this was a difficult group, wasn't it? Including Albania, who just had it all to do. Again, wasn't expecting much from them, but they played pretty well. They gave a good account of themselves. I'm going to put them in the C. You know, everyone's expected them to not qualify. They didn't. But performance-wise, I think they were solid. I think they deserve a little bit of kudos for that. As for Croatia, where are you? Again, aging squad, you would say. People will argue that there's the winds of change are happening with Croatia, but I think some serious, you know, conversations need to be had. You know, Kroos decided to step down from Germany and professional football as a whole. Maybe Modric may need to think about that as well. So I'm going to put them down into the D. It was a tough group. And again, if you had Croatia in any other group, you probably would see them into the latter stages of the knockouts. But ultimately, difficult group to get out of. Italy were the champions, but of course, no more. C. And if all honesty, I think it was a C grade performance. Not great, disappointing, very toothless, but it's a new era. It's a new era of Italy, and hopefully the coach gets a little bit more time. Of course, Spain were phenomenal from the get-go, qualification phase, and blitzed their way through, and they had pretty difficult way to get to the final as well. Georgia, maybe a little bit of an easy one there, but then Germany, then France, then England, very difficult passage. And they were, everybody saw it from day one. Even if you were shit at football or shitball punditry, or you said Spain are the best team in this tournament by a distance, and they were. Let's hop on over to Group C, and Serbia, again, it was a difficult group to call. And ultimately, this was the boring group. Group C was boring. Not really many goals in it, not many stellar performances. And unfortunately, Serbia just couldn't really get going. There wasn't much to separate these four sides, but I can't put you in F, really. I don't think you were that bad, but a D, definitely a D. Performance from you guys. Let's go and take a little look at I think this one's Slovenia. Sorry, it's hard, it's tough. Flag knowledge. I think this is Slovenia. Hey, you know what? Made it to last 16. Took on a Portugal side to get through to the quarterfinals. I didn't think you would get there. So, do I put you in the A bracket? Do I put you in? Was it that much of a surprise? I don't think it was that much of a surprise, but I thought it was definitely a surprise. I'm going to put you in the B. As for the Danes, pretty woeful, pretty miserable, but they did make knockouts against the German side. A little bit hard done by as well, with some calls. A C. Vanilla, down the middle. Not much to be excited about. And then we had England. Of course, they made the final. Performance-wise, boring. They were boring in the groups, boring and lucky against Slovakia, lucky against the Swiss. The Dutch, they raised their game, and then they made a final. So, performance-wise, I've got to put them in the A. I think with that team, with the recent run of events, England had to be there or thereabouts. Definitely semi-finals, or anything less than semi-finals would have been favourite. So they made the final. Hey, you know what I mean? It's. I'm not saying that the winners don't necessarily have an A-grade performance. You could win and be shit throughout it, but I'm going to give England the benefit of the doubt for peaking at the right time against the Dutch, and fair enough. Let's go over to D then, shall we? And the Poles were in this one, weren't they? Lewandowski, heavy again, probably need to make a decision on that. But what do we expect from Poland? It was difficult for them to get into this Euros, and they went at the first time of asking. So D, not really much expected from them. The Dutch were in third in this group, but of course made the semi-finals, didn't they? And they were good. They took care of Romania, took care of Turkey. I wouldn't say A-grade performance, but definitely a B. Definitely room for some excitement there. I think there's some scope that this Dutch team could. I think they've got some defensive concerns, but not bad. Then we had the French. Again, boring in the groups. Lucky in the groups to get out of that in the end. And then against Belgium, again they had a difficult run in Belgium, then Portugal, then Spain. So they had probably the most difficult route to the semis, but they were never good, were they? They were never good. I was never blown away by this French team is good. So I'm going to put them in the C just purely on the fact they got to a semi-final, but realistically, pretty toffee, really. And then, of course, Austria. Wow, they were great in the groups. Fantastic. I was hoping that they would go deep in this competition, but Turkey caused them a right old cluster fudge. So I'm also going to put them in the B. I thought they were again. I thought hopefully Ralf Rangnick sticks around for the World Cup push and get these guys over the USA, because there are a few ages concerns maybe that a lot of these Austrians will not be there for that run-in, but Austria were one of the most refreshing, exciting teams, despite losing the first game against the French, controversially so as well. So they were good, just as good as the Dutch, but they had a nightmare, didn't they? Let's hop on over to Group E, and we are going to take a look at who got eliminated here. Ukraine got eliminated. What did we expect from Ukraine? Of course, they got their own shit going on behind the scenes. I didn't expect them to finish rock bottom, so that's pretty pretty bad. I'm going to have to squish these down a smidgen here, just to give us a little bit more room, because I think they're definitely a D grade candidate. Not great for the Ukrainians. I expected them to challenge top 2, probably more second than anything else. But yeah. Meanwhile, third I think was Slovakia. And again, did I expect them to make the knockout stage? No, I definitely did not. I expected Belgium and Ukraine to come through with that group, but Slovakia came out on top. And they gave England a run for the money. They scared them a couple of times. Early goal, and it wasn't for some freak Ash Bellingham overhead kick. It would have been Slovakia making it through to the quarterfinals. But can that justify a B performance? No, I'm going to put it in the C, high C, low B. Romania, also phenomenal in the opening game against Ukraine. They kind of did tail off, if we're going to be completely honest. I loved the Romanians. They were colourful. They were exciting to watch. Crazy football. Enjoyable football, but ultimately it was a C. It was a C from Romania. Got the win. Then they took on a Dutch team that were decent, and they found them out in the end. The Belgians. Let's talk about the Belgians. Dog shit in the groups, knocked out of the first stage of the things. I think some serious concerns need to be said about the Belgians. They looked at some stages okay against Slovakia in the first game, but really they never clicked into gear, did they? So I'm going to put a big fat F next to Belgium on this one. Let's hop on over to Group F itself and take a little look at the 4th place, Czech Republic. That's right, they're not coming here, guys. They're not coming here. Hard done by in the last game against Turkey. They went down to 10 men. Difficult. Probably we're going to have to scooch these guys down a little bit more, squeeze them in there. I would say 10th. Yeah, another D grade performance from the Czech Republic, and then. Surprise package, Georgia. Wow. Beat Portugal. Who did they play in the last game? Was it Portugal? It was Turkey. They lost. Czech Republic. They got. I can't remember. I actually can't remember. Was it a draw against the Czechs, and then they beat Portugal in the last game? Nobody thought that. Nobody would have thought that. So I'm going to put them in an A. I think they deserve to be in the A. You know, that no one, you know, this is their qualifying path was ridiculous. To them being at the tournament, not only getting out of the group stages, but they gave Spain a bit of a scare, beating a Portuguese team that was probably expected to go semi-finals. Yeah, well done there, and also well done Turkey. I think Turkey probably deserved to be up in the A grade performance. Made it to a quarter-final, difficult kind of group to get out of. You know, Czech Republic are quite even Stevens. They took out our Austrian side who were flying. So yeah, and then Portugal did top Group B, but they were a little bit boring, weren't they? A little bit boring. Can we get anything more out of them? I'm going to put them in the B, but it is definitely more C. So I probably would. So who did they take out? Slovenia in the things. I'm probably sticking with the C. I think that's about right. So there are my winners out of this: England, Spain, Georgia, and Turkey. 2 from Group F there. Realistically, you didn't expect Georgia to get out of the group stages, and of course put a bit of a threat and made us all believe in the underdog again. Turkey again, never say die attitude. Unfortunately undone by the Dutch in the end. Quite close game, could have went a little bit further than that. And then yeah, Spain and England, of course, for their runs to the final. As for F, Belgium have been really probably the poorest team in this tournament. They did make the knockout stages, but they were pretty toothless against the French. We expected them to get to at least the quarterfinals, but dog shit in the end. That's my take, guys. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on that one as we look forward to the qualification phase for the World Cup for the European nations. I think the Nations League might start before that, but until then, subscribe, smash the like, come back. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about the rankings here. Do you agree? Do you disagree? But until then, we're done.